Hi everybody, it's Moses Amasua once again from Incisive Training. Good to see you here. I wanted to talk to you about practicing safely as a healthcare worker or a nurse. And in particular, I want to concentrate today on the importance of using national guidelines. Okay, thanks once again for logging on. Wanted to talk to you this morning about the importance of using national guidelines. Very often when I train people, and I do train people over here in the Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire area, we have open classes for clinical health skills such as first aid, manual handling, mandatory training, physical interventions, and you can always book onto our courses, or indeed we can come out to you if you have an organization in need of specialized training. But when I do training, I often come across people who project their professional judgment on so many of the things that we talk about. Whilst professional judgment has its place, nothing can beat a national framework or a national guideline in terms of practicing safely. And I'll give you 3 reasons why being aware of, referring to, and using national guidelines in our practice helps us practice more safely. The first reason is because national guidelines embody what should be the most up-to-date evidence-based practice. Usually they are produced by a body of people, individuals, professionals and organizations that scrutinize and really work out the best evidence there is for us to apply the best possible care that we can give service users. If you remember in the olden days when we used to practice medicine in the United Kingdom, we used to have quacks. And in those days, very often the things that people used to do to make people better were based on what just people thought was the best idea or the best thing to do. But over the years, as time has gone by and as evidence has come back to tell us and inform us on what works and what doesn't work, we've basically stopped doing a lot of the crazy things we used to do, and now we do things differently. So the principle hasn't changed. We're still evolving, we're still growing, we're still learning, and national guidelines can help us maintain safety. Second reason is because there are very often people who say, I went to school and I went to university and I qualified as a nurse or as a midwife or as a mental health practitioner 12 years ago, and I did a degree, and in fact I did a master's. Well, since then things have been updated somewhat. I was having a conversation with somebody last week about what to do if an airway is blocked, and they were saying you should do this, that and the other, and I was, are you sure about that? I'm not sure that's accurate. And they almost wanted to sort of argue. But when I find myself in that situation, I usually just, especially in training sessions, I will go right to a national guideline, online, open it and highlight the bit that we're talking about. And there we'll end the conversation because there it is in black and white. So things get updated, even though we were qualified several years ago. By the way, I didn't mention, in terms of national guidelines, I'm talking about organizations such as NICE, N-I-C-E, and that stands for National Institute of Health and Care Excellence. You can Google those and it will talk about all manner of things, be it first aid, be it somebody with a mental health diagnosis. It'll tell you what the symptoms are, it'll tell you what the pathways are to recovery, what the best medications are. It even talks about physical interventions, restraint, restrictive practices, seclusion. It talks about so many things. You've got another one called Department of Health. Google them. They talk about a myriad of issues that you'll come across in health. You've got CQC, which is the Care Quality Commission. This is the governing body that governs all health providers within England. And I was just thinking of one more, which escapes my mind just at the moment. But these are examples of national guidelines, and you can Google those and check those out. So what was the first thing I'd said? I'd said national guidelines give us the best evidence-based practice. Number 2, they update and inform us as things progress and change in our career, even though we may have studied and qualified a long time ago. And then the third thing is national guidelines provide a framework to justify our actions. So you might be in a room with other professionals and scrutinizing why you did a certain thing. I believe it's better to justify your actions through a national framework rather than just saying it was my professional judgment. Because for as many professionals there are in the room, there will be different professional judgments. So it's just better, it's just easier, it's just faster to say, I did this because the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence says A, B, C, D, E. I did this because Department of Health says A, B, C, D, E. So this is just to inform you and encourage you on one of the ways that will help us to practice safely within the healthcare sector. We are here as a training provider. We are based in the Luton and Dunstable area, Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire, and run open classes for first aid, manual handling, mandatory training, physical interventions, PMVA, literally every week. But we also travel across the country. So if you are a healthcare provider and you are in need of training for challenging behavior or any of the things that I've mentioned today, feel free to email us or give us a call. I or one of the team will be happy to talk to you about your needs, and hopefully we can work with you. Moses Samasua here from Incisive Training. Thank you very much for your time.